Hello. Wasn't good. That was not good at all. There were parts of that game that I was okay with, specifically the first period. I actually didn't think the second period was that bad. As it continued to go on, I thought it got worse and worse and worse. But I think the part that is encouraging, which I'm going to try and start with that, I am going to go into some of the shit that I did not like, and there was enough of that, especially down the stretch there. But what's encouraging is some of the things that were there in in Calgary were there in that first period in Edmonton. And obviously they're going to have to be able to overcome their inability to score. They are not a good shooting team. I'm going to write about it. I've been waiting. It's hard to write about an inaccurate shooting team when they have 16 goals in 3 games. But when you get shut out on 39 to Mike Smith, now all of a sudden we can probably do it. And there are some underlying numbers in those shot numbers and their shooting percentages that are very concerning, very, very, very concerning to me. But I think the first period showed a lot of what the Golden Knights can do. And walking out of this game, I guess maybe the number one positive that I can take is yet again, not a lot from McDavid, not a lot from Draisaitl. Obviously, that did not lead to a win, which you can spin that in a way that is horribly negative, and I completely understand that. But I also would say that if you're playing a playoff style game and you're going to be able to take both of them out of the game like they did, that does make you feel good that if the Kings were to trip up down the stretch here and Vegas can get in and get to play Edmonton, I still like the Golden Knights' chances against this particular Edmonton team, despite the fact that it didn't go very well today. On to the negatives. The obvious number one jump off the page negative beyond anything across the board, there's nothing beyond this, is this team just cannot shoot very well. They are not an accurate team. They are not very good cleaning the puck up in front outside of Eichel. They are not very good tipping the puck in. And they don't have a lot of guys that just wire it from far out outside of Pacioretty. And when he didn't do it today, in the multiple opportunities that he did it, you don't see goals. And when they aren't getting the goals that they need to be getting, when they're getting them off the rush, there were multiple rush chances today. When those goals aren't coming, the details start to break down in how they play. That game was 1-0 for a long, long time. There's no reason the Golden Knights were completely out of that game until it hit 3. And really, even at that point, I still thought there's a chance that they can get a quick one here and then move forward. It was not good to see that consistently happening. And it's a day before Easter where, I'm not a religious guy, but a lot of praying is going on and you're relying on the spray and pray plan. It's not good. You can pray as hard as you want, but eventually someone's going to have to get in the right place and there's going to have to be a bounce that goes their way and all of this. And yeah, this is funny. Would it be worse? No, it would not. So you can stop with that yapping at me for an idea that was purposely off the wall and ridiculous, and you still cry about it every single time. And yet, here the Golden Knights are with 87 points and 6 games to go, needing to find a way to probably get 5 of their next 6 with multiple games, 3 against postseason teams still on the board. They're 3 points behind LA. We will talk a little bit about what's going on around the league, what it looks like, what needs to happen, what can happen, those different types of things, and we'll see from there. But to me, the concern that we had going back to the Dallas series that then cropped up. We got okay, we good? All right, we had a Yorkie attack there for a second. The part that cropped up against Dallas that then cropped up again against Montreal, and we kind of in between just decided, well, yeah, you're right. It is 1 point behind LA, but the game in hand is gone and they're playing tonight. They play later tonight. I'll get into that later. I'll pull up all the numbers. That issue was supposed to be corrected by bringing in Dadonov, by bringing in Eichel, by moving Tuck out of there, by finding, different ways to generate offense from the blue line. Haig was an option. Coghlan was in there for a while. Hutton's been in there. A lot of these different things, a lot of this issue has been the same over the course of time. And while I like the offense that Eichel can bring, I think as he's plugged into this system, I don't think we're getting a diminished version of Jack Eichel at all. Like, I think this is the guy. And can he be a little bit better? Maybe as he gets more comfortable with the system. But for me, for the most of what he's doing, this is who he is. So it's good, and that's what you want to see. And that's the type of play that they need out of him. But he's still not going to generate the ability, or he doesn't have the ability to have other players tap pucks in from in close, to have other guys be able to tip pucks on shots from the point, to be able to find ways that when they're on the rush and they have to take the shot, that they can wire it past a goalie who's actually playing pretty well. It just has not happened throughout all of this. And it hasn't changed over the course of what has now been effectively 2.5 seasons. They used to be a team that wanted to play high event hockey, that wanted to really drag you into a fight that you're going to have to beat us scoring a bunch of goals. Now they play a style that if they go behind by 1 or even by 2, they're basically relying on one of these goals to come from the tips, from shots from outside, or maybe something even on a power play. And even there, I don't like that. And I'll get into that as well. But like, this style where they go behind and all of a sudden the other team just has to play a defensive, mistake-free style, and the Golden Knights don't have an option. If that's the case, what are you going to do? Like, how are you supposed to win a bunch of games like this? And again, today, I think my biggest issue with this one is, like, not only are you not generating the shots in tight, but then when you are handed 3 or 4 opportunities on the rush, specifically a 2-on-1 that I can remember Marchessault's going on, there's another one with Pacioretty, neither of them are all that dangerous of shots. There's sticks in the lane. They're making it easy to defend. Like, they have to do more if they're going to be this type of a team that relies this much on the rush, despite playing a system that does not generate a ton of rush chances. Like, it does from time to time. It does when the ball's rolling in the right direction. But when it's not, how do they get out of that funk? And today is another example of a long line of examples where they just can't. And the biggest part of it for me is the fact that when you defend against the Golden Knights, it is not hard to sit inside of a shell, keep the puck to the outside, and then make the right play going out and don't fuck it up in the neutral zone. That's what happened the second it got to 2-0. At 1-0, it still looked like Edmonton was playing a style that they're pushing for that next goal. I still felt like the Golden Knights had an opportunity to get the next goal when it was 1-0. I tweeted it out in the middle of the intermission saying they were like plus 270 going into the third. I didn't mind that. I thought they actually had a pretty darn good shot of making that happen. However, as the game went on and as that third goal or second goal came in, then it was completely done. Like, then they're in big, big trouble because they're just not able to generate enough in those situations. And I have the shot chart. I forgot to queue it up onto a PDF so I can load it up to this. But the shot chart from, or maybe I can do it here. Let's see. I had one from earlier. I can't do it. Okay. Basically, in midway through the second period, where I still felt like the game is kind of in the balance, in a direction where the Golden Knights can get that one accidental goal maybe, and the game can go back, and then maybe it opens up to get some more rush chances and more mistakes as the opposing team presses. While that was happening, I went to the shot chart to say, you know what, let's see, are they generating enough in front? Because it doesn't feel like it. I looked at it. It was nothing, like literally nothing in front of the goal. Every single shot was from, at best, mid-slot, mostly circles and out. It's just the way that they have fallen into playing when they play against a team that's willing to sit back and block shots and play the way that Edmonton normally does not play. And in this case, they did. I also sent out a tweet that said something along the lines of, when did Edmonton start defending? That all of a sudden has happened. And that is a bit concerning, because if you play them in a postseason series and they're going to defend like that, what's going to happen? But let's get there first. And then the obvious massive elephant in the room, the power play. But first, I'll tell you that this Periscope and all Periscopes are brought to you by Conler & Associates CPAs. Tax day is 3 It's Tuesday or Monday. I don't know. It's really soon. The 18th, it's Monday. Tax day is 2 days away, people. So go to Conler and Associates website. That is conlercpa.com. Tell them that SinBin sent you, and they can help you get these taxes done by Monday. And if you don't think you can get it done by Monday, that's okay as well. As it turns out, the IRS is not always mean to everyone. You can get an extension, and the best way to get an extension is to go through someone who knows how to get an extension, which is probably not you, and it is Conler and Associates CPA. So go to conlercpa.com and they will hook you up. Let me get this Yorkie. Hang on. Now that he's out of the line of fire over there, not sure what was going on, but we're good. Power play. Today is the third game in a row that the Golden Knights have had Jack Eichel, Mark Stone, Max Pacioretty, and Shea Theodore all on the same power play. And at times today, it was Pietrangelo instead of Theodore. It's been also Dadonov, who is the player you traded for to try to get better at the power play. And what does the power play look like? Crap. The entries are not as good as they have been in the past. The plan in the offensive zone is miserable. Absolutely miserable. Like, there is not a good plan. There is one play that they like to run. Point, half wall, under the goal, low slot, back of the net. If that play is taken away, it basically is now Eichel holding it on the half wall, dancing around, chopping it up, waiting for an opportunity to put the puck in. And when it doesn't happen, then what? Right? There's not really a good answer for what is going to happen at that point. Your best bet then is get it back up to the point, funnel it over to Pacioretty, and hope he rips one by a goalie who's ready for it. Like, it is going to happen sometimes, like the spray and pray plan. Sometimes it is going to work. But if that is your main plan, you're not going to have success consistently, no matter how elite the talent is on this power play. Like, when they know that Eichel probably will not shoot, and if he does shoot, we're going to be okay because we've got it covered up anyway. He's going to have to make a pass. We know that they're not going to move players around. And if we keep 4 sticks in this box, as every single defensive team does against the Golden Knights now, the pass has to go underneath the goal or back up to the point every single time. He can sit there and cut it up all he wants, and he'll never be able to feed one through because there's never any movement on the other side. There's never any dragging of players out or opening up that box or doing whatever you need to do to make something happen on that power play. And because of that, no matter the talent of your players, the only way that the talent of the players is going to make a difference is if Max Pacioretty can score on a goalie that knows he's about to shoot, is set up, ready to block the shot, and he misses it. That's the way that they have to score at this point. Otherwise, it comes on shots from the high slot that somebody gets in the right position for, and it just happens to go in. And the Golden Knights are not talented at that. And Dadonov isn't that guy. He just isn't. Like, there are things that Dadonov can do in that bumper slot. He's actually pretty darn good at it. They don't really utilize it. That pass into the bumper isn't there because it's so stagnant that they know how to defend it, and it's never there. When they do it, it has to come directly back out. It cannot be the one you see a lot of guys backhand through the slot off of that bumper. Golden Knights can't do it because they are too stagnant. The word stagnant is the best way to put it. And quite frankly, like, now that we've seen game after game after game of having the elite talent back in the lineup, and it still isn't good, it is not the players. It cannot be the players. The players have changed over and over and over again in many different ways, and it still has not gotten better. And now that brings me to 2 of the players that were in there that are continuing to not have the impact that they need to have if they're going to be in there. The Golden Knights brought back Mark Stone and they brought back Max Pacioretty because they knew these guys give us the best chance to score. These guys give us the best chance to win. The problem is Mark Stone, if he is not directly on the puck, it's not going well right now. It just isn't. When he's on the puck, he's fine. And some of that, I think the timing, there are a couple of bad passes here or there. It's fine. I'm not that worried about that. My issue is when they're in the neutral zone, unless a guy skates directly at Mark Stone, it's going to be a problem. He's not going to be able to cut the angle down like he normally was before this last injury. And because of that, he's not nearly as dangerous creating these turnovers. He doesn't generate the rush chances the other way. There was one that he generated because a player made a horrible mistake trying to bank it off the boards around him. Can't do that around Mark Stone. No matter how injured he is, he still has an unbelievable stick and has the ability to pickpocket those passes every single time. But that play, even that play, led to only a 3-on-2, and Stone was part of the 3-on-2 and was trailing the play quite significantly compared to what he normally does. He's just not himself at the moment. That's not horribly surprising. That's not amazing or whatever. Like, it's not like unbelievable that that's the case. But right now, he is not generating enough. And then to go into the third period and plan on taking the best generating offensive player that you have in Jack Eichel and take him away from the next best generating offensive player that you have, which is actually Janmark right now, and then the best finisher that you have, which is Marchessault. And I sent out, they have been a godsend as a unit. To rip them apart in the third period, to try to drag Mark Stone, who is injured, into the fight, and drag Max Pacioretty, who, when injured, usually isn't all that good or as effective as what he normally is. It's bad decision-making. And it hurt them. And they go into a third period 1-0 and lose 4-0. That's a winnable game. And I think they should have probably just rolled out Eichel, Janmark, and Marchessault as often as physically possible. And if you need to, double shift Karlsson or put Karlsson up there as a winger. But they had to get Eichel with Marchessault and or Janmark as often as physically possible, and it did not happen. And I do not understand how that decision was made, because that's the only offense that they were getting. Amadio was not generating much with Karlsson. They were not getting, and Wah, right? That's who the other one is. You were not getting a lot of Stevenson, Stone, and Pacioretty because you're not going to be able to get a ton outside of the opportunity that comes off the rush, off of a mistake. And they can generate that. And even when they did, they were not capitalizing on that. That's a huge issue for me. As far as where it goes going forward, 6 games left. The best they can do is 99 points. I find that unlikely. I think 97 becomes basically the magic number of the best they can do. So you're essentially looking at cheering against every other team to get to 97. That would mean that I guess they could get to 97. We can't let anybody get to 98 because I think the Golden Knights will still have the tiebreaker on most of these teams, assuming they don't win a couple of these games. Like if they were to win a Washington game or a Dallas game or whatever in overtime, they have basically one more overtime that they can get through. If they get to 2 more overtimes, they might start losing tiebreakers. But I would say at the moment, I feel pretty comfortable that if 2 teams land on the same number, Vegas will get in over the other team just based on the fact that they have a 2-game lead on the overtime rule or tiebreaker rule. I would assume most of these teams are going to win the same number in overtime. It's fine. So we can't have anybody getting to 98. Right now, the Kings have 6 games left and they have 88. So they cannot win 5. That's concerning. Or they can't win, and lose a couple in overtime and win the other 4. If they go 4-0-2, I guess you kind of just got to tip your cap to them. Beyond that, it comes down to, I think Nashville's trouble. I think they're probably gone. I don't like the chances of catching Dallas. Edmonton is now completely off. I think it's only LA. Maybe one of those other 2 teams drops 3 straight. They have some difficult games on the schedule, but I just don't see it. So for me, it comes down to taking care of all 3 of these games at home. Like that's almost an absolute must. And I've said it before, I am highly concerned about next Sunday's game. It's the last game of the season at home. There's a lot of stuff that they like to do for that, the fan appreciation stuff. I think a lot of that stuff, it's awesome for the fans, but I do think it kind of sends a message of culminating the season together when you probably don't want to be doing that with still 4 games to go. They're playing against a San Jose team that I know it. They're going to give everything they've got in that game. And the Golden Knights are obviously good enough to beat them. We know that. They can beat them. They should beat them. If they play a good hockey game, they will beat them. But if the Golden Knights are not completely on top of their game in that, or if they fall behind, or if whatever, something goofy happens, never happened before in a Sharks Golden Knights game before, right? Things can get bad. And that game scares me. Washington, they're good. We know they're good. They're beatable. Golden Knights have done very well against them in the past, obviously outside of that one series, but I know that they can beat that team. New Jersey, you just have to put together a good game. I actually wish those games were backwards. I wish they were playing Washington next instead of New Jersey, because I do think that coming back home, knowing that you've got another tough game, I think you're going to get a better effort out of the next game than you may get after a win that they get on Monday. I assume they will get the win on Monday, so I wish they were playing the better team, another playoff team again, 3 in a row, and not having that step back playing against the New Jersey, who has the ability to score. They can score, and they have given the Golden Knights trouble in the past. As far as what to cheer for now, like, to me, yes, you could still probably root for San Jose to beat Dallas today. Maybe you still get an opportunity there. But the best case scenario is how much better it looks if LA drops to Columbus. It would probably have to be both points. I don't love the fact that if they were to lose in overtime, I still think it's not great trying to make up a couple points with not that many games left in the schedule, not in your favor. I'm concerned there. But if they do drop this game to Columbus, all of a sudden the path opens right back up and Vegas' schedule is a little bit lighter, now not having one more road game against a playoff team on the board. Overall, it's a 3-point trip that normally we would be celebrating in a normal time, in a normal situation, when you haven't gone 0-5-0 on a trip against 4 crap teams. You'd be celebrating 3 in a row against these teams or 3 points on the road. Unfortunately, that's not the situation the Golden Knights are in. So now you walk away with 3 points. The Calgary game kind of becomes, I mean, it's not a mirage because it still happened, but it's like that becomes like the beacon of how we need to play. But even when you do it for a period to begin this game, it still doesn't always go your way. And that's the challenge that I have. 12 more points for the Golden Knights to collect. How many do I think they'll get? I think they can reasonably get 10. I don't think they're going to get all 12. I think they can get 10. I think it's more likely they get 8 or 9. I would have to imagine that one of those road games down the stretch is going to be tricky to get all the way to the finish line. You know, I don't like the fact that they have to do Dallas and then Chicago back-to-back. We saw what Chicago looked like today against Nashville. They can beat you. We've seen what Chicago did against Vegas here. It's concerning. The answer to this question, why would it matter if the Golden Knights make the playoffs? They have no chance to win the cup. To a degree, I agree with you. The team that played against Calgary 2 nights ago can win the cup. We've only seen it like 3 times the entire season, so I don't have a lot of faith that that can be there for 16 games over the course of 2 months. I don't have a lot of faith that this team's going to stay healthy if they do make it. But what I do want to see, and what I think is beneficial to learn, is I think that the Golden Knights need to learn more about how their offense is going to work when they have Stone, Pacioretty, Eichel, Pietrangelo, Theodore, Carlson all in the lineup, Marchessault, and see, is this style actually going to work? Like, I think it is a situation to kind of look at the coaching staff. It is a situation to get more information on the power play. It's a good opportunity to potentially get more games under your belt against good teams to give you more information. And then who knows? Like, if Smith comes back, maybe you do get better off. You know, I think the goaltending has been good enough that they can get there. Like, there's reasons to still want these games to go that way, even if there is pretty much an understanding that winning 4 out of 7 against like 5 or 6 different teams in this league seems highly unlikely. And they probably have to do it against 2 or 3 of those teams. I get that that's not horribly likely, but I think you want the more information, because if this season goes down with them saying winning 4 of the next 6 and they miss out by, call it, a point or 2, and it goes in as LA going in, a lot of it's going to be, well, we won 11 of the last 15. We came up slightly short, but had we had this roster all the way through, we would have breezed into the playoffs and we're a legitimate cup contender. I don't think we want to go into this season having missed the postseason and still feeling like they are a cup contender, because that's the worst place you could possibly be in. That's where Nashville has been forever. That's where Minnesota has been forever. There's a number of other teams that have been in that situation. That's where Washington was over and over and over again before they got rid of George McPhee and went on and did some good things after that. Like, That's the spot I don't want them to be in. So if they're going to miss the playoffs, I'd like to see it blow up in a hurry and really be clear that you missed the playoffs because you're not good enough. But if they don't, like, I still am definitely rooting, get into the playoffs. Give me a series against Edmonton. Give me an opportunity to see what it looks like against a Calgary in the second round. And then let's play as far as we can go to get more information. If Calgary runs them off the ice, it's going to be a lot clearer of what's going on and what happened. Now, obviously, injuries could step in the way of any of this. If somebody gets injured at some point, we go right back to the excuse of injuries. It is what it is. But I just don't think throughout the course of this season, I've seen the depth of this team show enough to belong in the category of absolute cup contender. This team is $9 million or $10 million over the salary cap, and they're playing at a pace that is showing that they may not even make the playoffs. Now, I get the injuries are probably not going to be as bad next year, but if they were healthy all season long and playing $9 million over, they better be the absolute runaway favorite to win the Stanley Cup, and I don't think they are. They've never proven that enough beyond a couple of periods in Calgary, a couple of periods in Washington, and then a little bit at the beginning of the season. That's the part that concerns me. So for me, I want to see more data that gives us information that tells us, can this team be a Stanley Cup contender, or do we need to start shredding a good portion of it? Do we need to consider the front office? Do we need to consider the coach? Do we need to consider what we can do around the three stalwarts that cannot go anywhere, Eichel, Stone, and Pietrangelo? Everyone else, they're going to have to figure that out. And I think that these next 6 games are going to shape what happens. And so get in, you're going to get more information. That's going to be good. Don't get in. I don't want it to be close, because if they miss by a point, the excuses are just going to be rampant the entire offseason. And we're going to go through an entire season of next year looking at these exact same problems. That's the concern I have. That's all I've got for today. Thanks again to Conlon Associates CPA for sponsoring all the Periscopes. We'll be back at it. I think I'm going to do Monday. There's a chance I skip Monday just because the fact that game could be an absolute laugher. If it's a laugher, I won't do it. If they do happen to play a close game or lose or whatever, we certainly will. I'll be down at the space doing it, but I would guess I might take that one off. I'll certainly be there Wednesday after the Washington game, and then we'll probably do most of the ones down the stretch as long as the games continue to matter. That's it. I think we're going to do a podcast at some point coming up in the near future. Maybe also that one's after New Jersey. We'll see. But that's all I got for tonight. Good night, everyone. Enjoy your Easter.